exactly.
So the other thing too is, we're talking about you've hired over 250 sales reps.
That's a guess, but maybe even a conservative guess.
So I imagine that was pretty easy.
No,
No.
no, I'm not Phil Green. It's not pretty easy to hire. They got it
So
down to a science.
so you've hired over 250. You've kept over 50
Hmm.
along the way. So, what were some of the biggest challenges when you first started hiring salespeople?
The management portion of it, right? It's like anything else. People are people. They're all greatly different.
Mm-hmm.
They all have different personalities. They all have different strengths and weaknesses, and it's tough to understand. You kind of want to put it into a box and manage everyone the same way, which again is taking the easy path, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be avoiding the tough work. But so that was, the onboarding was tough. The training, the sales training was tough. And then the continued management and getting them to perform and keeping them bought in to what we were trying to do. Because it's very easy to sell somebody on coming to work for you,
Yeah.
right? It becomes increasingly difficult at scale to keep them sold on the vision when you as a leader aren't always walking the walk that you portrayed in the beginning.
Which is really easy to do if you're selling it hard.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about, the first few hires. What were some of the things you learned with your first few hires?
Well, I don't know about things I learned with the first few, but eventually I learned that I have to stop selling this job.
All right.
You
So
know,
can you elaborate like what selling this job means?
well, yeah, I mean, I would say things like, "Hey, you can come here and make $250,000, $300,000 a year. I'm going to teach you everything I know about real estate. You're going to have 20 qualified appointments on your calendar, and all you got to do is go get them to sign a contract." Just things like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then what you're doing then is setting false expectations, because we all know that a third of that may be half true, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get some qualified
Third of it is
appointments.
half true.
A third of that's half true. Could you make $250,000? Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Will you make $250,000? Well, maybe 5% of your staff will,
Mm-hmm.
from an acquisitions or a dispositions stance. And so we just kind of shifted and started saying, "Hey, we got a great culture and we help a ton of people. This is how we help them, but this job is freaking hard. I'm hard to work for. I have a high standard of excellence. It'll be very rewarding and very challenging, and you're going to learn a skill set, but you're not going to get qualified appointments. You're going to have to fight for them. You're going to have to dig for them." Just essentially everything that we were selling, we tried to,
Undo it.
undo it.
Went the opposite direction.
And of course, not all of that was true, but once they got in, we price anchored them,
Mhm.
is essentially what we did.
Yeah.
And so once they got in, they're like, "Oh, well, this isn't as bad as he said." And then the expectations weren't this pie in the sky, almost undeliverable.
So we went from over promising and under-delivering
Mm-hmm.
to under promising and over delivering.
And over delivering.
So a much better experience for your
Much
salespeople.
better experience.
So then